All right, we are going to talk Agent Evals in Copilot Studio. This is a newish feature from Microsoft. It came out late last year. You might be familiar with it, you might not be, but by the end of this video, you're going to know everything you need to know about Evals in Copilot Studio and basically how to perform automated testing of your AI agents in Copilot Studio. So here's what we're going to cover off. Firstly, what are they? Secondly, why you should care about these and use them. We'll get hands-on with a demo, and we'll wrap up with some resources in MS Learn. All right, let's get into it. What are evals? Well, if you've been using Copilot Studio for some time, you're probably used to having to do a piece-by-piece, build your agent, perform some tests here in the test canvas in Copilot Studio to test whether your instructions and your prompts and your agent flows and tools and MCP connections and all of that are doing what you expect them to do. And when we're building and iterating on an agent, that's fine, right? We want to be able to test in real time, is the agent doing what we expect it to do? But as these agents grow in complexity, we need to start bringing some rigor to how we test them. And this is where evals come in. So you might have noticed evals here in the ribbon in Copilot Studio. This is effectively automated testing for your AI agents. Now, automated testing is not new. Even in the world of AI, we've had it for a bit of time. If you check out Tomas Prokop, he's got some fantastic content around automated testing, one of the most brilliant MVPs that I know. But this is kind of new to Copilot Studio. And effectively, what these let us do is we can start to create an automated test suite for our agent. Now, if you're thinking, how on earth would I do that? Let's get into it. So this is an agent you might have seen in an earlier demo I did a few weeks ago called Pipeline Coach Pro. And what I did was I had M365 Copilot ideate and create this agent for us. And we did it in 3 minutes. So now that we've created this agent, we want to actually test it. And instead of coming here to the test pane and saying how many opportunities do I have, we actually want to start working with it in a more structured way. We want to throw a bunch of different scenarios at this agent to see how well it performs. And so that's where the evals come in. So here in the evals, you can see that I've got several that are set up here. The way you set it up is you come here to evals and you click New Evaluation. Now what that's going to do is that's going to give you this screen here where we can upload questions. So if we have a CSV, we can upload questions that we want to throw at our agent. We could use our latest chat conversation so that here in the test canvas, we can use this to generate our initial evals, or we can manually add them. But if you're like me, you're sitting there thinking, Nathan, how on earth am I going to come up with questions? Also, I'm very busy and, I'm kind of lazy. That's where this generate questions is phenomenal. So what it's going to do is it's going to look at the agent's instructions and it's going to generate a test set based on that. So when we come back here to evals, it's going to generate all of the questions that we want to ask the agent based on what we're asking the agent to do. And so because this is related to pipeline, it's asking questions like, can you identify blockers? Can you show me which opportunities are at risk? How do we increase the probability of winning the Tailspin Toys deal? And so on and so forth. These have all been come up with. So the agent, the AI within the agent came up with this by looking at the agent. Feels like a bit of an infinite loop, but it works. And it got us started with evals. And you can see that on the first pass, we did 80%, not bad. Well, let's get into the details of what it's actually doing. All right, so you see here under test method, we've got general quality. Now, there are a few ways to measure agent responses. Let's come back out here to our Evaluate Pipeline Coach Pro. And what I can do is I can add various methods to my eval set. And the standard one that you get out of the box is, or by default, excuse me, is general quality. It's basically going to check to see, does the response meet kind of general quality? Now I can't adjust this, but it's as determined by the agent. Do I think this response is relevant? Does it capture meaning? That type of thing. And so that's what you're going to get by default. Now we'll come back to these other methods in a second, but let's get back into this. So let's take a look at how it did. So it's using general quality. So can you identify any open blockers? So we got an error. We didn't get a response there. So far so good. Next one. Can you show me which opportunities in my pipeline are at risk right now? And if we come here to the response, you can see that we got quite a detailed response based on the opportunities in Dataverse. So again, pass, good job. All right, what about increase the probability of winning Tailspin toys to 80%? All right. I couldn't find an opportunity named Tailspin toys, and it's given it a pass. All right, so this is where we start to get into some of the nuance around this, because depending on how you look at it, technically it did pass. It asked for an opportunity, and that opportunity doesn't exist. So it correctly identified that it doesn't exist. But at the same time, it doesn't really feel like a pass to me, because what I really want it to do is increase the probability to 80%, and what it really should tell me is I can't do that. And I mean, I guess technically it did that. So anyways, that's where we start to get into some of the nuance around how we set these up. Look at one more. So create a follow-up meeting. I found multiple opportunities for Fabricam, so I wasn't sure which one you wanted to add it to, so it gave it a fail. So pretty good. So anyway, so we got about 80%. Let's come back to our eval set, and let's go in and start looking at some of the different ways that we can evaluate these. So for example, in my earlier test set, you might notice that I didn't have any, here we go, I don't have any expected responses. So the agent is just looking at general quality. It's going to throw these scenarios at the agent, and it's then going to rate how the agent did based on just general quality metrics. So I haven't really given it a test. Now you'll notice here, with some of these, I can start to add expected response. Now once I do that, I can't use the general quality anymore. It's going to start looking, I'm going to need to use things like compare meaning. And let's actually quickly look at the other ways that we can test the agents. But compare meaning is going to say, what are you expecting to see? So for example, I'm expecting to see 22 total opportunities. I'm expecting to see 13 open opportunities. And what I'm looking for is, did the agent get that? Now we can add test methods here within our eval set. So again, we've got compare meaning. It's going to look at what I'm expecting to see versus what the agent came back with. I can match on keywords and phrases. I can look for similarity, or I can look for exact matches, depending on what it is that I need the agent to actually do. Now within these, I can adjust the pass score. So I can say, how rigorous do I need to be? Am I kind of looking for the general gist of it? Do I need it to be an exact match? That type of thing. So I can adjust that within here. Keywords, I can say, do I need any of them or all of them? And so I've got some capability here to adjust how rigorous I want this to be testing the responses from the agent. Now when I come back to my eval set, when I reran this, you can see that we got 100% pass, but when we look into the details, most of these were invalid because I was looking because we're looking to compare meaning, but I've only actually got expected responses for 2 of them. So you can see open opportunities, I'm looking for 13, and it came back with you have 13 open opportunities, and so that's a good result. And total opportunities, I was expecting to see 22, and the agent came back with that. And so that's how you see compare meaning. So that's the results that we get from running these automated tests. They're pretty easy to run, so within my eval set, once I've got it set up the way I want, I just click evaluate and it's going to run. Now, depending on how many questions I have and how complex my agent is, they take anywhere from kind of 5 to 15 or 20 minutes to run and get results. And so it's a really cool way to just automate some testing and see what the agent is doing. So this is how I did it for an interactive agent. What about autonomous agents? Well, I've got an autonomous agent here, and this one responds to email addresses and answers questions based on knowledge. Now, it's an autonomous agent because we've got a trigger, so this is being triggered, again, by a system event, not by a user, but we've still got evals here in the ribbon. And so what I did, again, I had it generate questions automatically using AI, but you can see that we're having some difficulties here so we're getting lots of fails, and I'm kind of trying to work out what's going on. So it's keeps responding with provide the message ID of the email you want to reply to. There's a couple that passed where it came back with the result that I expected, but the rest of these, it's generally not pulling from. So I'll need to dig into the details to see, but it looks like you can set these up for an autonomous agent. Still trying to work out if they actually work on an autonomous agent to do what we would expect when we along the lines of what we see here in the interactive agents. All right, that is a quick overview of evals in Copilot Studio. Now, there's some great resource here from MS Learn, so just quickly highlight that. So learn.microsoft.com. Go to this URL, and you can get all the details on evals and really get into the weeds of the documentation and all the things that you can do with it. So, all right. Well, drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Is this something cool? Is this something you get hands-on with in your agents, or are you using other ways to test them? In the meantime, go do something awesome on the Power Platform today, and I'll talk to you soon.